Now, a few of you were telling me I didn't really explain what's going on here when I call this handle input change method and I do the this.setState and I give it a function or whatever. So let's talk a little bit more about that before I move on to anything else. Now, what happened here is we created a controlled input. We controlled it by saying its value is only equal to the state up here, that the state object dot input value. So the input value is the only thing that will determine what goes inside this input, whatever value it has. And anytime the user tries to change it on change, we pass an event to this.handle input change. Now the this.handle input change method takes in an event. It console.logs the event.target.value, which I don't think we need anymore. It destructures out the value part of that, and it sets the state. Now, this.setState must be passed a new object with the new state, or be passed a function that takes in the previous state or the current state and then returns a new state. So in our case, we gave it a function where we pass the previous state to that function, and then we return a new object where the orders are equal to the previous state.orders. We don't even actually have to do that either, but I'm just doing it for now. And it's still the same as it was before, but the input value is changed to whatever the user has entered into the input. So that is why we have a controlled input. Now I'm noticing a problem here though. Are we really going to force our user to type out the name and amount of the items they want to purchase? That doesn't sound like a good user experience. So in this video, let's add some select inputs that give our users an easier interface to work with. Okay. It's a lot, right? I know. By the way, we can just do it like this too. This is an easier way to do this. It would be, actually, I'm just going to comment out this whole thing right here so you can see. There's a couple ways to do this. We could also just say, make it one line, handle input change, and then give it the event, and then say, hey, this.setState, and pass in a new object where the input value is equal to event.target.value. And I think that should actually still work if you want to make it one line. I just did a bunch of other stuff so you could see, but yeah, that still works perfectly. And so everything is still working as planned, and it's like nothing's ever changed, but now React has complete control over everything. And so here in my main component, I can see that the state's input value, as I change it, I notice that React is handling what the input value is. So React knows exactly what is in that input at any time. Hey there. And React knows. That's what it means to have a controlled component. React has control over the input and it has access to that value at all times. Cool. Now we haven't told React what to do when we submit, so we're gonna have to deal with that as well. Great. So let's get to it. Now, to make sure that we can create a little input here that has access to all the menu items, and I'm actually just going to delete this because we don't need it anymore. We are going to need to pass the menu to the main class. And this is, again, such a nice way to do this. Instead of having to type out that whole thing again, we just say in the main, menu equals, just like we did here, this.props.menu. That's all we need. So nice, right? I honestly, I can't explain how much I enjoy that. I want to write less code, y'all. I want to make apps, I want them to be cool, and I don't want to have to do as much work as you normally do. So that's all we need for there. The menu is now being passed to the main component. I come in here and I have access to it and this.props.menu. And so I could create it down here. And so we're going to pass the menu object. Now that we're passing the menu object to the main component, we can go ahead and access that menu object in our, where is it? Right here, down here in an input. And let's actually, you know what? We could create the select item here, but I think it's actually easier to extract it into a method. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to create another method. And I'm going to call this one, I wish I could, render menu select. Does that sound fine? Cool. I'm going to call it render menu select. And that's just going to be a function that is going to use the this.props.menu object that we've been passed. And I'm going to create the menu select item right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const, let's go with const keys equals object.keys this.props.menu. And so remember, the menu is being passed to the main component as a property, as props. And so I'm taking it and I'm grabbing all the keys of the menu. That means I'm grabbing all of these: coffee, bakery, and specials. Okay? And for each of those things, I am going to create a select option. So I'm going to return a select option here, like this. And inside the select, I'm going to create a bunch of options. I'm first going to create the default one called select menu. And then below that, I am going to take all of the keys and I'm going to map over them. This might not be the best way to do it, but I'm just going to do it this way either way. And then I'm going to return an option, another option, where this option, option, where the value of this option is whatever category, because there's 3 categories, and the key is the index as before, and it has the category right here. Cool? So doing that, I can now actually call this render menu select method right down here. And so instead of having to do write the whole thing, I'll just, in fact, I don't even need this one right here. I'm just gonna get rid of it, sadly. You know what, I'll comment it out for now. Now, if you wanna comment out JSX, is actually a good time to show you this. You can't just comment it out like this. This will not work in JSX. Instead, what you need to do is you need to surround it with those JavaScript brackets like this, and then use the multiple line comments. And this is actually the only way, this is maybe the worst part about React, to be honest, is that you have to write your comments like this. Stupid, but it is what it is. And so in here, I'm just going to say this.render menu select, and I'm going to call that function. Instead of just putting the function there, I'm going to actually call the method, the this.render menu select method, and it'll come up here and it'll run this, and it'll return all that JSX, and it should give me what I want. Let's find out. You ready? Save. Okay, there it is, select menu. And I have coffee, bakery, and specials, just like I wanted. So I can pick the coffee menu, and when I pick the coffee menu, I want it to pull up here another select with all of the items from the coffee menu. Cool? Now, again, this starts out as an uncontrolled component, and we'll need to wire it up to our state to make it a controlled component. So in our state up here, I'm going to say menu value, let's go with menu value, and set it equal to none for now. So it starts at none, and then if I want to change it, I'll just update it to be something else. Cool? And then we're also, like before, remember how we had this handle input change? I'm going to leave the handle input change there for now, even though we're not even using it anymore. I'm going to leave it for now. And I'm going to say, man, stop doing that. So silly. I don't know why it's doing that. On menu selected, we're going to give it an event. And this event is going to do the same thing as before. We're going to say this.setState. And you can either pass an object or a function. In our case, I think we just give it an object where the menu value should be equal to event.target.value. And that should be fine. So if we do that and we save it, because right now, I think if we do this, yeah, that should be fine, right? Because the value is always the category, yeah. So on menu selected, we should be able to take that menu and yeah, so we're passing the event. Okay, cool, sorry. I lost my train of thought there. This still works, right? Okay, cool, that's fine. What was I? It is a controlled component because the value is equal to the category. Okay, sorry. I'm in slipping here. I apologize. I think I need to fix a few things here, but for the time being, that's fine, right? You guys cool with this? Okay, good. And like honestly, this video is going a little long. I'm doing a bunch of stuff here. This look at how big this main component's getting. So even I'm losing myself, and I'll do this all the time. I'll be like, what was I trying to do again? Things are getting a little complicated, so I'm sorry that. Let's get rid of this. I'm sorry that I'm like confusing you a little bit. I get it. Again, I'm gonna come back in here and I'm just gonna refactor everything and make it look nice so that you kind of know what's going on. But for the time being, all we're doing is we're allowing our user to select a menu here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna display that menu right next to it. Is that fine with you guys? Cool. I'm gonna end this video here, and then I'm gonna explain everything we just did, and we're gonna expand it in a second. Because I know I just wrote this on menu select thing and then we didn't even use it. So we'll do that in a second. Cool? Yeah, and I'll paste all the code in Slack. You should have it. Cool.